The number of people with autism spectrum disorder in Australia has increased significantly in recent years, with around 1 in 150 people identified with autism. But a little-known fact is that a number of young girls on the spectrum often miss out on early diagnosis. Yellow Ladybugs, an organisation supporting girls on the autism spectrum, has organised a show of support for World Autism Awareness Day to highlight the number of young females often misdiagnosed, misunderstood or missed completely. Joining me now from Melbourne is Katie Coulis, the founder of Yellow Ladybugs, and Sarah Hockey, a mother of 2 girls living with autism. Katie and Sarah, hello to you both and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Now, Katie, I'll begin with you. Your charity, Yellow Ladybugs, it helps girls on the autism spectrum, but it's often hard to get a female diagnosis, as I just mentioned. Why is this, and how are girls presenting differently to boys?
Well, it's been difficult for so many parents or women to get the diagnosis for their girls because girls often present differently. It's not always the case, but we hear that girls can present differently, and a lot of the time psychologists or professionals don't understand the different presentation. And the tests that are used, the diagnostic tools used, are based a lot on male presentation. So often we're seeing that issue there.
So what are the unlikely presentations for girls that are being missed that do in fact suggest they are on the autism spectrum?
So it's more about the misconceptions. A lot of the girls are extremely social, have lots of friends, can look at you in the eye, and so there's a lot of previously held misconceptions that are stopping that diagnosis or people seeking that support. And for example, girls may present with a special interest and it's fashion, but it's an intensity that's often overlooked as something that perhaps where a boy may have that special interest in something a bit more obscure. So it's definitely an issue there in terms of getting missed.
So before I move on to you, Sarah, just Katie, what are the problems associated with a late diagnosis?
It's more about getting a lack of understanding for your child or yourself and not getting that early support and getting misdiagnosed with other conditions like bipolar or anxiety disorder. And we see a lot of mental health issues for girls holding it together in their later years, unravelling in their teen years. So it's more about getting that key to understanding and support as early as possible.
Now, Sarah, I noticed you smiling before when Katie was saying often the girls are very social, but they channel their interests intensely into some areas. Your daughters have been diagnosed. What was their road to diagnosis like?
Their road to a diagnosis was actually having some troubles in actually socialising. They were on the social periphery, not really knowing how to engage. They will keep it together at childcare, and when they came home they would actually undo themselves with crying and sort of reenacting their day. They had some sensory issues where their clothes would be itchy, and they had a preference for the same thing on watching, a TV show like Wizard of Oz, and really stayed in character thereafter. And I'm also a living testimony to that. I'm a very sociable person. I make eye contact.
Yes, or you mentioned yourself there, because you were diagnosed with autism at the age of 30. So, I mean, that's extraordinary. Tell us about your experience for living 30 years with no diagnosis.
Well, it is extraordinary, but it's actually a quite common thing where women get diagnosed after their child has been, or if they do get a diagnosis. Growing up, I suppose, in the same way my children, I was always on the outer social periphery. I was that sort of subtype, if you want to call it a tomboy. Academically, I was, okay. However, with better support, I think I could really lift up to my full potential. Since my diagnosis, and that's, I'm catching up now, so to speak, I feel more empowered and I can better channel my strengths.
So, Katie, Yellow Ladybugs, tell us a bit about this, because this is very much so about a shift in cultural thinking towards neurological disorders, and that focusing really on what these people on the spectrum can do.
Yeah, it's more about celebrating neurodiversity, so understanding everyone thinks differently, and we want to focus that autism is just a lens in which we see and experience the world. It's not a disorder. And so Yellow Ladybugs is trying to shine that positive light, because we see too often people focusing on what people on the spectrum can't do, and we really want to celebrate these achievements of our community, our girls, our tribe, so that we can set some examples for future generations that don't limit the potential of our community.
And Go Yellow Day, tell us a little bit about that. So I love it on your website how it says every girl deserves friends, every girl deserves to be understood.
Yeah, so Go Yellow Day is a great way to celebrate World Autism Day, which is April 2nd, and it's to shine a light on the fact that girls are missing the early diagnosis, but also telling the stories of all the amazing achievements our girls have done. And we've got some amazing icons around Australia going yellow, including the Balti Bridge and Melbourne Star Observation Wheel. And we've got a huge online community painting Facebook and social media yellow, so we can really shine that light and get the word out there.
Wonderful. Katie Coulis and Sarah Hockey, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Anytime, thank you.